Hey Greyhounds fans, thank you for listening to the Hounds Huddle podcast on MoravianSports.com, the Greyhound Sports Network, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I am LJ Smith, Assistant Director of Athletic Communications here at Moravian University, and on part 2 of this week's episode, we continue the conversation I had with the Director of Men's and Women's Tennis, Mariana Freitas. We'll pick up where we left off in part 1 and talk about her 8 years at Moravian, completing her first year at the helm of the Greyhounds tennis programs, and what we have to look forward to next season. So let's get this episode underway and reintroduce our guest, Mariana Freitas. All right, back here with Mariana Freitas, the Director of Men's and Women's Tennis. So we talked about how your journey to get to Moravian. So now you're at Moravian College at the time. It still feels weird to say now that
Right.
we're Moravian University, so it takes a little bit to not mess up saying that all the time. So you're at Moravian. What was that experience like? You're an assistant coach at a program that you didn't participate in. So what was that like working with Art? Because Art is a legend in himself. He's very,
Right.
very talented, very easy to get along with.
Yeah, I know you're right. Art, he was a great mentor. I mean, he still is. I still have a great relationship with him. I'm definitely thankful for him. Because he really was the one that hired me, and I know I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him to give me a chance. After I finished grad school, to give me a chance to start. In my first job as an assistant coach. So I'm very grateful for him. He was a great mentor. I think, he really got me involved in every little single aspect of the program. Even I remember head coaches had meetings. He would come back to me and we would spend like a good hour talking about everything that it was covered in the meeting, right? We talked a lot about, practices, what we're going to do today at practice. What did you see yesterday at practice? Just we were always making plans together for practice, recruiting, scheduling. So I think we made a lot of decisions together, and I was always thankful that he did that because that allowed me to, obviously gain more experience and learn a lot more about how to run a program. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I knew all aspects of the program. So I definitely, I am grateful for him to just taking the time to go over, every single aspect of the tennis program and just the athletic department as a whole.
So years go by, you have some success on both sides and learning how to coach a program from Art, and obviously coaching changes happen. So what was it like kind of learning from Art and then transitioning from the different coaches that have been here at Moravian? You kind of take away things from each coach and they mentor you in different ways. What was it like learning from multiple individuals?
Right. So I think you said it best. I think, everyone has a different, style. And I think that's what we experienced here. We had, 2 or 3 coaches and they were all very different. Everyone has a different style, and there's no right or wrong. I just think that different coaches, they focus their attention more on certain things and than others. So definitely there was a lot of positives from each coach and things that I took from each coach and the experience to work under those head coaches to where I am now. So obviously, just thankful for all of them, and not only for the coaches that we had within the tennis program, but overall in our department, because as we have some people that were here for that have been here for a long time, and I definitely remember having obviously a lot of conversations with Mary Beth Spurk just about anything about recruiting or interactions with the team. Her door was always open. And then I would say probably JB as well, because those two, obviously being here for a lifetime, and I do remember going to them a lot as a young and inexperienced coach, and ask them all of these questions about literally every little thing about the program, and the two of them were very, very helpful as well.
So we've all experienced something that has kind of been unthinkable. The spring of 2020, a global pandemic hits, and you're assisting a program through something that's never been seen before. What did you and the coaching staff do to kind of get the student athletes through such a confusing time?
Yeah, that was a very, very difficult time, and I mean, even all the things that I went through before that, of going from one country to another country and changing culture. But this was definitely maybe one of the difficult things that all of us, I guess, all of us had to go through. Just so much uncertainty and unknown, and we had no idea what was going to happen next. I think, at the time I was the assistant. So, I wasn't like involved in those, head coach meetings. So you didn't know at the time everything that was happening. And I guess no one did, because things were changing on a daily basis. I think it was a difficult time for me personally, outside of this job and outside of tennis, because, being in a country where, you don't have any family here. And, at the time it felt like more of my friends were spending actually more time with their families, right? A lot of people were
Correct.
moving back home and spending more time with their families. The players were spending more times with their families, which was great. But then, I wasn't able to do that. I was kind of stuck here for a little bit, and I didn't have the ability to fly home since everything was shut down. So I think that was a very, very difficult time in my life. And then as far as the team goes, I think it was just more of checking in on everyone on a weekly basis. Not so much, related to school or tennis, but just like, how are you doing, right? What have you been doing? How you're staying busy? How's everything going? Just checking in, with each individual. And then obviously we had some team meetings as well, so that everybody could kind of like see each other's faces on Zoom. But just a lot of checking in on each other. And the players were still taking classes online, so also making sure that they were completing their assignments, and they were making progress in the classroom.
So, navigating this crazy event, the fall of 2020 is also postponed, delayed, but you're able to pick things back up in the spring of 2021. How good did it feel to finally get back out on the courts with like both teams and just see them interact as a squad, but also there's still things going on that you have
Right.
to follow guidelines and restrictions, but you're on the courts again. You get to see them interact and be competitive. What was that like?
I mean, I think we are all grateful to be able to spend time together in person, right? To be able to connect with one another once again, but then again, to be able to share, the tennis court, to be able to practice together and compete, again, with other schools and against each other as well. So, I mean, there was no better feeling than that. I think, in the beginning, there were some mixed feelings because, we had won a championship in 2019,
correct.
right? And we knew we had all of the starters returning.
Yeah.
So we knew that we were going to have as strong of a team as we did in 2019. So we were very, very excited to see how far we could take it in 2020. Because we were more experienced team. We were returning all the starters. We were adding a couple new players. So we were very excited about what could potentially happen in 2020. So, coming back in 2021, again, very, very grateful to be in that position again, that we are seeing each other in person. We are interacting with one another in person and not on Zoom or, and obviously to be able to compete again. But there was always that feeling that, that year was stolen from us. Like, obviously it happened to many
Yes.
teams across the country. It wasn't just us, but, we ended up graduating 2 starters that spring of 2020, and obviously they were not able to come back for another year. So it was just like, there's always that, what could we have
What
done?
could have
How
happened?
much, could we had accomplished that year, knowing what we did in 2019? But again, those are things that we can't control. Many other teams went through the same scenario, and I think in the end of the day, we were just very, very grateful to be, together in person and to be, on a tennis court again.
So you mentioned it, the women's squad captured the 2019 Landmark Conference title. You're back on the courts with both teams, and you return the starters minus a few.
Right.
You make another run in the Landmark Conference Tournament in 2021. You get to host, which is an indoor meet, or indoor match, excuse me.
Right.
10 hours later, I'd be so remiss if I didn't bring this up. 10 hours later against the University of Scranton, comes down to 6 singles and Maddie Fiegel. What, just that match in general, because it's the heightened competitiveness of both of these programs, knowing what it's coming down to. 10 hours of competition, and Maddie Fiegel claims match point. Just thinking about going back to that, what was that whole experience like?
Yeah, I know you had to mention how long that match went for. I think we set a record there for the longest match in the history of college tennis.
I
possibly.
Believe, yeah, possibly. It's up there if it's not. It's definitely something.
So obviously, we host and, we're playing Scranton. And the funny thing is 2019, we also play Scranton in the finals. We also host, and we were also indoors. So, and the only difference was that in 2019, we were indoors at Lehigh only because we still had the old surface.
Oh, that's right.
The old surface in the Arc, right? So we were not allowed to host matches in that surface, obviously, just very fast for tennis. So, 2019, we're the hosts again. Unfortunately, not playing at our home courts, playing, at Lehigh indoor facility against Scranton as well. Obviously, Scranton, very talented team. 2021, we get to do it all over again, hosting Scranton in the finals indoors again.
Yes.
And I mean, what an unbelievable match. I don't think we'll ever, forget about that match. I don't think we'll ever forget about that picture of Maddie.
Absolutely. It's captured in all of its essence and glory. And just like, I have goosebumps thinking about how meaningful that was for the program to win back-to-back Landmark Conference titles, and doing it so with that, I'm going to allude to a gap year again because of whatever everything happened with the pandemic, but it's just remarkable the adversity that group overcame to capture that.
I mean, that was unbelievable, that day. I remember from, the moment that I started setting up the Arc all the way until, when we left at like 11 p.m. that day when we left the Johnston, right? I mean, what an unbelievable day and an unbelievable journey. Obviously, very talented team, Scranton. We, unfortunately put ourselves in a tough situation by losing all 3 doubles, which obviously not ideal, far from ideal, I would say. So we are 3-0 down going into singles. So we know that we have to win 5 out of the 6, singles, which that's very, very tough to do. It's possible, it's doable. Obviously, we proved that, but it is not the best situation to be in. And then we are down to 2 courts, which makes things a lot harder because for some of these players, I mean, Maddie she didn't play doubles. She was waiting for 7 hours until she got to step on the court, and guess what? Then she knows it's down to her match.
Correct.
It's 4-all. It's down to her match. And, we had, I believe that 4 of those singles matches went to a third set. I think Mary went to a third set. Kristen went to a third set. Jules also went to a third set, but she ended up losing her singles match. And then Maddie went to, a third set as well. And, I mean, I can't even imagine what was going on in her head because just going back to, the days, being a student athlete and the pressure that you feel to succeed for your team and for your teammates, and you don't want to let them down. And here she is knowing that, our top 4 players are graduating that year. and it's coming down to her match for all, and she knows we need the win to obviously win that championship and advance to the NCAAs. But if I if I was going to pick someone to do it, I mean, she is one of the most competitive players that we have on the team, the most driven player. And I think the biggest challenge for me was to sit still on that chair and try to, look calm every time that she would, on every changeover, just try to look like I wasn't
calm and positive. That's what
very right. And we basically, it was interesting because, we had the three coaches sitting on that court. And we said the same exact thing every changeover. The same game plan. Even though she lost the first set, the game plan was exactly the same. It was just to get better at it with every point in every game. And we said, the same exact thing. But like you said, it was just more of, making sure that she was relaxed and breathing, and that we were breathing as well. And, I definitely are more the type of pacing around, during matches. But I knew at that time, I knew I had to, just stand still and be sitting and look calm. And I didn't want her to look at me and look
And
like
get
I was,
frazzled,
yes. So, unbelievable match. And, for Maddie, just a singles player at the time, that year she only played singles. And, for her to get the win at 4-all, I mean, what an unbelievable pressure. And for her to be able to, lose a first set and come back.
Yes.
And then win the next two. I mean, that's an unbelievable, and obviously, that's a proud moment for herself, but, the team and coaches overall, that was a day that we'll never forget as a team.
What can you do with Business Phone from Penn Teledata?
Make a conference call from the coffee shop.
Or connect from the back 9.
With unlimited phone services, 24-hour support, and mobile synergy, our cloud-based technology makes it easy to do business from anywhere. And we do mean anywhere.
No more being stuck in the office.
Which is great for everyone, I think.
Add cloud-based business phone service from Penn Teledata.
St. Luke's Orthopedic Care. Extraordinary care in motion.
Historic Hotel Bethlehem is perfect for any stay. The finely appointed rooms and suites are complemented by excellent dining choices featuring Chef Michael Adams, the tap room for drinks and casual fare, or an upscale dining experience with a view at 1741 on the terrace. For business meetings, visit our Executive Conference Center, stop by our women's boutique for a selection of fashion and jewelry, or grab a cone at our Hotel B ice cream parlor. Historic Hotel Bethlehem is where our history will make the memory of your stay last a lifetime.
Are you looking to get your hands on Moravian University Greyhounds gear? Head over to moraviansports.com and click the link Sideline Store under the tab Fan Zone to find our Moravian apparel store. Each month, there is a promotion that offers a discount to all things Greyhounds, from hats, hoodies, shirts, and more. Head to the Moravian Athletics Sideline Store today, powered by BSN Sports. And you move forward to NCAAs. You get a victory as well, which was very exciting. I believe it's the second year in a row that you come away with a win in NCAA tournament. So a lot to build off of moving into the next year, especially on the women's side. But then something happens over the summer. You get promoted to the director of the men's and women's tennis program after being here for 7 years as an assistant. Hearing that, how excited are you? How grateful are you that you've been a part of this program and now you get to call it your own?
Right. I mean, I'm very, very thankful to be here, today to have this conversation with you and as the head coach, as the director of tennis. I've been here since 2014, and even, last summer, I mean, we really didn't know what was going to happen, right? So there was a lot of things that we didn't know and a lot of things that we couldn't control. So we had no idea that that's what was going to happen. So, but I'm very obviously grateful, to Coach Spurk and Dean Lloyd and just the school as a whole to give me, this opportunity to become the director of tennis, especially because obviously being here since 2014, I mean, I was very familiar with the school and the department and the program, and I knew I wanted to be here. And I knew I wanted to, call it my own program. And I'm just very, very grateful that happened.
So you go through your first season here. The women's team makes the postseason. The men's squad comes down to the last 2 matches. Very close matches, very competitive matches, 5-4, just on the opposite side of things. A lot of things to build off of moving forward for next year. But talk a little bit about some of the key contributors from both sides. We'll start with the men's program.
Yeah, like you said, the men, we fell short on the men's side, but we made a ton of progress on the men's side, and I think that's what I told the players at the end of the season. We had the goal of making the playoffs, and we just fell short. But I think if we look at previous years, we were actually competitive in conference play. So we were in it. We were in it in every match. So we obviously have to be proud of ourselves for doing that, for accomplish that this year. We also had, a lot of new people. We had 4 freshmen in the starting lineup. So obviously it's a young team, and we might not get to where we want to be right away. But I just think that we made a lot of progress. Those last 2 matches, it came down to those last 2 matches. 2 5-4 losses, which again, it doesn't get any closer than that, right? And it's a difference of 1 point that could have lent us a spot in the playoffs. But I think it's a good learning lesson for next year, that we know how competitive our conference is, and that we have to obviously work hard during the season and the off season as well. I would say I think everyone contributed this year, right? I think we have people that gave us more on the court. We have people that gave us a lot more off the court as well, and both of them are very, very important. The 4 freshmen starting, I mean, that's huge.
Absolutely.
And I think they were a huge part of the success that we've seen this past year. And then, that wouldn't be possible without the leadership of some of our returning players. We have our juniors co-captains, Karen and Justin. We have Andrew, which obviously well. He's a 2-sport athlete. He plays on the golf team as well. He's not always with us at every match and every practice, but when he is, we know
absolutely
how consistent he is. I think the same thing for golf, right? He's
correct.
A very consistent player. Same thing for tennis. He's very consistent, and I know that we know that when he's there with us, with tennis, we know what he's capable of doing. And then, we had also other returning players that were key contributors off the court. Junior Aiden Evans-Garley, and then sophomore Steve Schneider as well. And we're lucky that we're returning all of them.
And that's what I was going to say. Having 4 freshman starters in the lineup is incredible, to say the least. But now you're moving forward. They have a year under their belts.
Right.
That is only going to have them so much more prepared, especially working with you and the staff into next season. They're going to be that much stronger, that much more prepared. And my mind just goes to Anthony, that long match he had at first singles. I think it was Susquehanna that lasted like 4.5 hours.
Right.
And just the resiliency he showed as a freshman at first singles, taking on a senior. And I just remember I remember overhearing the compliment from the senior. He goes, "You're going to be excellent."
Right.
And as a freshman, that comes down to that individual me versus team thing.
Right.
as long as that's communicated, it's a team event, but he seems to be on the right path. He's buying in with all these freshmen. Ronnie, you can tell when Ronnie's on the court because you hear him. I love hearing
very
how
excited,
energetic he is with the program. It's so bright looking forward with this group. Having the leadership of the co-captains, Justin and Kieran as well, is just phenomenal.
Very important.
And then we'll move to the women's side, where you had one lone senior who was a part of the program this year, and then a quantity of them coming back as well. So let's talk about them a little bit before we move into the postseason of this past year for the women.
Yeah, so the women, this year, I mean, like last year we talked about that. We graduated our top 4. So we knew we had a lot of work to do this year. We had people, Jules, Maddie, Christina, they were playing like 3 spots higher than they did previous seasons. I mean, you had Christina that only played doubles last year. She came this year, played singles, doubles, undefeated. Unbelievable.
31-0.
Unbelievable
singles
season.
And doubles record.
After, last year as a sophomore, only playing in doubles, right? She played a couple matches in singles. This year, she took on this challenge where she's playing, middle of the lineup, both doubles and singles, and she did not lose a match.
Phenomenal.
Unbelievable, outstanding season for her. The same for Maddie, because, Maddie was kind of on the similar boat as Christina was, to where previous year, she only played singles, as you remember. We just talked about the screen match. She only played in singles. Had a couple matches in doubles, but mostly a singles player. This year she, obviously we had to, because of how talented she is. We gave her the chance of playing both in singles and doubles, and again, phenomenal season for Maddie as well. I think she had only 1 loss in singles, I believe, and I think 1 loss as well in the fall season in doubles. But her and Christina combined, they, in doubles together, they were undefeated, the two of them. And they were probably the key contributors to our team, I would say. And then you had Jules as well, a tremendous player. I think, unfortunately, she was playing 3 spots higher. So now she's going from playing at 4, in 2021 to now playing at number 1 position. That's a big jump. That's a big challenge. And you're talking about playing against the every best of our conference. That is not easy. That is not easy, especially if you take in consideration that this was the first real season that she has ever experienced, even though she's a junior already, right? Yeah. This is the first ever, first real spring season that she has experienced. And now she has to face every conference or even non-conference, every team's number one player. So the best of the best. So, she still had, a great season. She definitely improved with every match. And I know she's going to, come back a lot stronger next year. And then, we had Morgan as well, our only senior, huge contributor. We all wish that she could come back for, another year, maybe another 2 years. First year on the team, playing, top of the lineup for us. Unbelievable what she did in this, in this year alone. I would say, like, she's probably the most improved player on our team this past year. And oh my goodness, I really just wish we could just have her, even if it was just one more year. But she had, an unbelievable journey here at Moravian, and obviously, graduated and is ready to do, big and better things. And then we had other, first year, freshmen, Rose, and then Mara, sophomore, but also first year on the team. And also unbelievable performance, unbelievable record. At 5 and 6, singles and 3 doubles. And then, I would say, Emily and Gabby, huge contributors as well, because they have improved so much this past year. And then Megan, I think she really, really showed her potential in the fall, and then very unfortunate that she got injured the very first day of the spring season, which was very, very unfortunate, because we never got to see how far she could take it, on the court, because she came back only like at the very end of the spring season, and still a little hesitant with her movement on the court after being out for 2 months.
So the squad makes the Landmark Conference Tournament again, defending the title that they've earned twice,
Right.
2 times. You head to Goucher, who you fell to by a score of 5-4 in the regular season. You now get to go back to Goucher and try to redeem yourself, which you do with a 5-2 victory, earning another spot in the Landmark Conference title match against a very talented Drew University squad. How important was it for this group of women to go to Goucher and redeem themselves?
Well, I mean, like you said, the regular season, we had a tough 5-4 loss against Goucher. But when it's that close, as obviously as athletes, as competitors, that if we get to face this team a second time around, you know what to expect.
Correct.
And it's a little different compared to other sports because we don't really get to watch film. Right?
Yes, yeah.
We don't get to watch film. We don't know what the lineup is going to be until we get there, until 5 minutes before the match when we exchange the lineup. So we don't know. I can't say, hey, Jules, you're going to play so-and-so. I mean, we have an idea.
Correct.
But even, we can't watch film, so we don't really know what to expect. But now we get to face a team that, we know a little bit about this team now because we had just faced them, 3 weeks prior to that semifinal match. And we knew we knew the first time around we didn't play great doubles. We knew that. And that was something that we have focused all year round. We have to play strong doubles. We invested so much time in getting our players to become really, really strong doubles rather than just have strong singles players just put together and play doubles. So we invested a lot of time in making sure that we are, putting some strong doubles performances out there. And we didn't do that the first time around when we played them. We won only 1 out of the 3 doubles. And we knew that for the most part, every time you're down 1-2, it's tough to win matches when you don't win at least 2 out of the 3 doubles, right? So we knew that was our first goal. It started with doubles. And obviously, they earned the spot, of hosting, the semifinal. And but we were hungry. We wanted that, and especially coming from previous years where we won the championship. We knew that we wanted to take it as far as we could, and we knew we didn't have a second chance. We knew it was we either get the job done today or our season is over. And I think especially with Morgan, I think she showed great leadership because being her first year on the team and last, she wanted that more than anyone else. And I think she had created some, strong relationships with her teammates. So it's almost like we all wanted to do it for her as well. But I think our focus was to have a really, really strong start in doubles and then, evaluate after doubles on what we had to do, what the game plan was going into singles. And I think, we did that. We spent, that week, actually all year, but especially that last week, working on our doubles play, and then obviously we were able to get all 3 doubles that day.
Yeah, the amount of conversations we've had about how important doubles was all season long definitely came true in that semifinal match. Now, the season's over. Your first year as director of tennis is behind you. What do we have to look forward to for the next year of Moravian tennis?
I think we have a lot to look forward. One of the things that we talked about was the fact that, I'm returning, every player on the men's squad. So that's huge, obviously. And obviously more experienced players, as we talked about having, 4 freshmen starting, there are going to be more experienced players starting in the next fall. And then, on the women's side, we're also returning for the most part, everyone except for Morgan. So I think that's exciting because we are returning, basically all of our, 18 players, actually 18 out of 19 are returning. So that's something to look for because, they're going to come back stronger and more experienced players. And then I would say, you know, we also have one of the largest incoming classes on the men's side. So that's definitely something to look for as well, because I know there's a lot of talent there. So it's going to be interesting to see if how many of them are actually going to make our starting lineup, because, you know, as you know, I mean, tennis is very different than other sports.
Yes.
We set our starting lineup early in the fall, and then we just kind of go with it, you know, for the rest of the season, unless there's obviously injuries or, you know, if anything happens with academics, then we make adjustments. But we are not really in a position that we can sub people in and out, you know, during matches. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how, you know, those freshmen, you know, how much talent that they're going to add to our team. Same on the women's side. We don't have as big of a class coming in, but we still have a couple of people that I expect to be, you know, key contributors on the women's side as well. So obviously, you know, we want to continue the success on the women's side. And I think this year we proved that we could also be successful on the men's side. So I'm looking forward to that as well, to hopefully have both teams in it next year. And I think just looking forward to continue to make, you know, small changes within the program that are hopefully gonna, you know, just overall make our program better.
That's incredible. Your first season under your belt as director of tennis, concluding, I believe, your 8th year here.
Correct.
Which is just amazing that you've been around, been able to be a part of the culture of Moravian and continue to thrive in this environment and still be able to contribute, as you said, the environment of Moravian with head coaches like Shelley Bowder,
right,
JB,
Mary
Beth,
Beth,
all of these people that have been here for 30 plus years has just been phenomenal to learn from and take any information we can from them to just improve the program, the university as a whole, and take some knowledge with us as we move forward as well.
Absolutely.
Mariana, thank you so much for taking some time to spend with me and for me to be able to kind of learn exactly what your story is. We talked a little bit about it before. It's not something everyone knows. So the fact that you've been able to open up and share your experience with me and everyone that's going to tune in, I really appreciate you taking the time to do that.
No, yeah, thanks for having me, LJ, and you know, thanks for everything that you do as well for our department. And I think, like you said, I mean, I don't tell my story to too many people. So even I think some of my players, I don't know how much they know about how I got here, you know, to this job, to where I am now as director of tennis. So I think this is great that I'm, you know, have the opportunity to tell my story. So I appreciate you for that.
I had a great time talking with Mariana Freitas, the director of men's and women's tennis here at Moravian University. Over the span of both of these episodes, we had the opportunity to reflect on her past as a student athlete, then her coaching tenure as a Greyhound over the last 8 years, including her first year as the head coach of both the men's and women's tennis programs. Be sure to follow the Tennis Squad on social media at Moravian Tennis on Instagram and Twitter, and at Moravian University Tennis on Facebook. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and follow Moravian University Athletics as well. That's all I have for you on this episode of the Hounds Huddle Podcast. Until next time, I am LJ Smith, signing off.